Hello everyone, my name is Jaime Perez and welcome to Let's Get Down to Business, a brand new podcast for FBLA-PBL members, in which we're just going to be discussing general topics regarding PBL, any special tips we gain from our experiences, more importantly, sharing resources with all of our PBL members.
So my name is Eric Daniels, and I'm actually one of Jaime's old colleagues from FBLA, and we're both actually entering our freshman year of college. I will be going to ASU.
So today we're basically just introducing the show. We're going to be touching upon several topics. I think I want to kick us off by talking about how we feel about becoming first-year members about PBL. Do we feel ready? Do we feel like we're prepared? Eric, go ahead. How do you feel?
Well, PBL has definitely always been a stepping stone. I feel like with my 4 years of FBLA experience, it was always kind of a goal of mine to join PBL. I feel like I have enough experience within the whole organization within itself of just like being a local member. This is going to be a fun new experience for both me and Jaime and some of our other colleagues that will be joining PBL as well that we'll have on our podcast as guests. But I think both of us have enough experience to help not only ourselves thrive, but help other local members thrive.
Yeah, I completely agree with Eric. I'm very excited to be able to kick off my journey in PBL, be able to just meet and connect with people like I did with FBLA. I was in FBLA for 3 years, so I'm just hoping to be able to continue that experience in PBL. And nevertheless, I just want to see it grow. I know that in Massachusetts, I found out that it's struggling to grow at the moment, but nevertheless, there's still opportunities for it to develop. And more importantly, there's still opportunities for it to get even bigger, not just in Massachusetts, but for the entire nation. It's something that people are still learning about. It's still a brand new organization, and we're just trying to make sure that it grows as much as possible in the amount of time in which we're going to be spending in our collegiate education. So, Eric, what excites you the most about PBL from what you've learned?
I think it has a very different goal rather than FBLA. FBLA prepares you for the college life and really getting you those soft skills, but now PBL makes you put those in action and helps you link with other members and community members, so you kind of like build your brand with business professionals. So PBL is really that real stepping stone to help you further your career, so it's more realistic and hands-on.
I have to agree. I think that just the fact that it's a lot more hands-on, as you said, is something that's going to be really beneficial for college students more than anything. FBLA was just a little bit limiting in the sense that we're high school students. Yeah. We're not really on our path to get our careers just yet, but college is literally the last step we have before we go become the business leaders of our nation, right? So, yeah, I totally agree that it's a very hands-on experience. It's something that I'm very excited for personally, just because I know that I'm going to be able to work very much more closely with my community and be able to just put into use the skills that I gained through PBL.
Well, I feel like for our listeners, I feel like we should explain like PBL and FBLA more because we're using these acronyms a lot.
That's very important. So FBLA-PBL stands for Future Business Leaders of America -Phi Beta Lambda. Phi Beta Lambda. It's a little complicated explaining it. Phi Beta Lambda are the Greek letters for FBL, which is the acronym for Future Business Leader. And personally, I'll be honest, I don't really like the name Phi Beta Lambda because it kind of does project like it's a fraternity or some kind of sorority that's going to be on campuses, but it's a professional student organization focused on helping students pursue a career in business or a career related to business and just providing them with leadership skills. Yeah,
so FBLA, you do that anywhere from 8th grade, 9th grade, all the way up to 12th grade, your senior year, and then PBL is just the college division.
Mm-hmm. And at the moment, FBLA is the largest division of the FBLA-PBL organization. There's also the middle school level. There's a professional division for when you're done with college. But right now, we're just going to be focusing on promoting PBL, promoting its ideals, the resources that they have, just to try our hardest to share this podcast and make sure that it can grow as much as possible.
I feel like also in PBL, there's a lot of misconceptions of what goes on. I feel like people just think it's sort of like FBLA where you just go to conferences, but PBL is not. There is competitive events, and we'll talk about that later, but mostly all the PBL conferences are geared to more career-related workshops and stuff like that. So I know in like November or October there's like a career connections conference, and it's really just all these conferences are helping you build your brand in the real world. So I think that's really interesting about PBL.
Yeah, that's very true. That is a very clear distinction between the conferences that FBLA and PBL provide. I mean, with FBLA, there are a lot more just competitive event heavy. They do provide workshops. They do provide the National Fall Leadership Conference, which is not a competitive event conference, but nevertheless, it's really just focused on educating the members. When it comes to PBL conferences, like you said, the Career Connections Conference in October, that's a lot more oriented towards just making sure that the members who participate, they get a free professional headshot. They get to work on their resume. They get to connect with other PBL members and business professionals who are looking to hire. And quite frankly, it is, it's a lot more beneficial for college students instead of just competing all the time, because at the end of the day, they're not going to be competing in spreadsheet applications or public speaking when they're in the workplace. They're going to be, competing to get the job. So PBL provides students with just that, the opportunity to be competitive applicants in all cases, and just to be prepared when it comes to getting that occupation after college, because the FBLA PBL organization understands how difficult it can be to get such a career after college.
Deep.
I know, very deep. So we just want to touch upon our FBLA experiences really quick. I started off FBLA my sophomore year in high school. I began as a volunteer officer. I wasn't even a full chapter officer yet. And quite frankly, I was just looking for an opportunity for me to really be able to develop myself as a leader and to just work on all the different skills I needed to be successful when it came to organizing on my campus, when it came to supporting my community. As time went on, I started to get better positions. I became the chapter treasurer for my school, learning more about personal finance, being able to understand budgeting and everything that comes into organizing a chapter's finances. And my senior year, I actually got elected to become a state officer, in which I was appointed to be the state president. And that was the biggest experience I ended up having, being able to just organize a state officer team, being able to work with them very closely, and being able to understand the process of delegating and serving as sort of the glue of a state organization in order to make sure that all operations went well, and being able to help out as many people as I could reach.
Yeah, and then so my journey in FBLA actually began my freshman year. My position ranged anywhere from like a local member to a state officer. It wasn't until the end of my sophomore year that I actually ran for a state officer position, and luckily enough I won and kind of changed my whole career aspect within high school. So I won state office, and my junior year I served as a vice president of media relations, which gave me probably my best experience within what I want to do career-wise, because it helped me manage different social media outlets for our organization. And then senior year, I was reelected, and I served as a vice president of communications, where I was basically like the president's right-hand man, Jaime's right-hand man.
Yeah.
And just really helping our new state officers and really building our organization and our state chapter as a whole.
Mm-hmm. And I know that both of us right now still aspire to continue to work at the state level.
Yeah.
My state chapter, unfortunately, doesn't have a PBL state chapter yet, so that's something that I'm going to have to be working on, but I know Eric does also aspire. I know his your sister, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's a state officer for PBL here in Arizona, and do you know anything about her experience there that you would want to share?
Yeah, I feel like there's a very big difference of FBL Arizona state officer and a PBL Arizona state officer. I feel like just seeing what my sister's done, and they've done a lot of great work, but I just feel like there can be more done. I feel like they're just, and hopefully one day I'll run for a state officer position on the Arizona PBL organization, but I just feel like there should be more goals that should be reached as a state officer team, and I feel like that's kind of our goal of what we want to do. We just really want to transform both of our organizations.
Yeah, I think ultimately one of the biggest things too is just making sure that the PBL state officers in every chapter just can have effective communication with their membership, because I know that that can be something that they lack in sometimes. Not saying that it's the state officer's fault. It's just that some of the state organizations for PBL just are not developed enough to the point where there's effective communication for the members to know that it's an option for them, right? And I feel like Arizona PBL has actually done a great job with that, in the sense that they do have several social media outlets, they do communicate, and more importantly, they attend Board of Trustees meetings with FBLA Arizona, which is a very big organization here in the state of Arizona, eventually promoting PBL in a very great way. So I know there's other great PBL chapters across the nation, but they could really, take some notes from Arizona PBL and see an example of how, yes, Arizona PBL is not the biggest PBL chapter in the nation, but at the end of the day, they are very active in trying to promote their organization, trying to get new members to come in, and all around just trying to grow Arizona PBL in general. Now, Eric, if you do, and when you do run for PBL state officer and you do get elected, what would be one of the things that you'd want to do for Arizona PBL?
Overall, and I know this sounds like cliche, but I feel like each state organization and overall, PBL just needs to modernize, and that seems scary to most of the old school traditional PBL members and staff, but it comes down to if you can connect with members and people outside that you're trying to gain interest within our organization. And I feel like although PBL or Arizona PBL has done a good job at managing their social media outlets, I feel like there's always more you can do. And really, I'll give props to Collegiate DECA. They know how to really market themselves and really connect with people within their organization and without, and really make them seem like a fresh, clean, and like modern organization. And I feel like that's something that not only PBL but also FBLA needs to work towards as well.
Mm-hmm. I would have to agree. I think that PBL in general should be providing resources to all of its members that are in efforts to modernize, because some of the things that are going on with PBL are still pretty old-fashioned. Yes, they have the same exact national leadership conference as FBLA does, but it doesn't mean that they provide the same resources that FBLA does. I think that honestly, PBL should make an effort to provide resources like keyboarding lessons, Microsoft Office certifications, or at least classes that people can take online, or just make efforts into providing people with education, just financial literacy, and being able to understand basic computer principles, because that's a huge part of FBLA. FBLA is sort of the CTSO for business and IT more than anything, and PBL, I feel from what I've seen, is really heavily oriented towards the hospitality industry, the business industry, the marketing industry, but never really touches on the IT aspect, because a lot of people aren't really inclined to want to participate in that. And so I think that PBL has made some awesome strides when it comes to providing business education resources, personal finance education resources, but it really does need to improve on the aspect of providing more resources on how to educate its members on IT, and just in general being able to understand, the society in which we're living in.
I just like one more thing about PBL. I feel like it is 2019 and there's a lot of work to be done within our organization. A lot of too many good quality FBLA members do decide not to join PBL because one, they think it's just boring, or two, it's no longer beneficial to them. But really, I feel like as an organization, we should be stressing the key points of why you should be joining this organization, because we give you all these different conferences and equipment and tools to help you really further your career within the college level and into your actual careers. So I feel like that's something where we need to look at, is the transition from FBLA to PBL.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I think that, yes, we can point out the areas in which PBL can improve in, but that's for every CTSO that transitions into the collegiate level, because it's so hard to keep that membership retention that you have. You can have a state chapter for FBLA with 10,000 members, but then when you get to the PBL level, it might end up having 1,000 to 1,500, right? Just because it's so difficult to keep those college students attend, to keep them focused on what PBL actually is. And at the end of the day, it's probably one of the best opportunities any business college student can take in regards to preparing for the business field, in regards to connecting with professional members, in regards to just being prepared for leadership in the future. There's so many CTSOs, so many opportunities that a college student can take in when it comes to college. I know there's tons of business fraternities, business clubs in general, but when it comes to the best business experience when it comes to college, I think that PBL, hands down, would probably be one of the ultimate experiences that someone can have, just in the sense that it provides you with the resources necessary to be really successful in business and really someone outstanding in your field. But yeah, I mean, I think I speak for both Eric and I when I say that we're very excited to begin our journey in PBL, and more or less we're just excited to see it grow, because at this point, PBL has been experiencing a little bit of a shift in regards to its leadership. We just have a more energized, more active leaders taking charge of our great organization, and we just want to continue to see it grow by doing the best that we can as local members and inspiring other local members to join us, just to make sure that we continue to see this great organization grow within our community.
Pretty much same what Jaime said. I feel like a really big announcement that just happened at our National Leadership Conference this past June is we got a new CEO for FBLA and PBL, and that just kind of signifies our transition into the modern age. Our old CEO, Miss Jean Buckley, did an amazing job. Was it 12 years? 22. So yeah, she's helped lead us through a lot of pivotal points within our organization, and I think it's just a great way to help modernize our organization and just getting new leadership. I feel like it's kind of like a trickle-down effect. It comes down to the leaders at the top if there's going to be change. But also, me and Jaime are here starting from the grassroots to start that change as well.
Yeah, and I couldn't have said it better myself. I know that right now we have national officers who were elected who were previous FBLA national officers, which I'm very excited to see because they did an amazing job when they were the FBLA national officers. I think, from what I remember at the top of my head, is that Max Mitchell and Keenan Carter were both on the same national officer team in FBLA.
Yeah.
And I'm in the same national team for PBL, and they brought very effective change to the organization, and I can't wait to see what they can bring to our basically newly reformed national organization with the new CEO, brand new board members as well. I think that at the end of the day, we're going to be seeing a lot of big changes for PBL, FBLA as well, and just be seeing it continue to grow at the pace that it's been growing.
I feel like that's a good way to start off. We're going to definitely go more in detail within our other episodes. We'll have more specific subjects that we'll talk about, different conferences, competitive events, running for state office, running for national office. So yeah, it's going to be a cool new journey with me and Jaime on this podcast.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Thank you, Eric, for joining me today. Thank you for providing me with the insight that, is so crucial to this national organization. And I'm just excited to see how this podcast goes. Hopefully it has the reach that I anticipate. I'm sure that a lot of members will benefit from it as we provide more specific resources, more details, just as Eric and I and other people who will be joining us on this project will be learning, because it's a learning process for us too. We're brand new to this. We're just trying to make a podcast from beginners for beginners as well, just to make sure that everyone can be prepared for the opportunity that is PBL. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Make sure to keep an eye out for the brand new episode that's going to be coming up very soon. And just make sure to pay attention for when new projects come up on our pages. Make sure to follow me at Jaime.
He has to check because he forgot. But you could also follow me. My PBL account is Eric Daniels PBL. It's on Instagram. And my PBL account is Jaime.pbl, Jaime.pbl. I know a lot of people like to misspell my name. It's a hard name to spell. But make sure to follow us and just keep an eye out for when the next podcast is going to be coming out. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and have a great day.